So factoring is basically looking at each term and seeing what they share, okay? So you look at 10a minus 18ab, and all factoring is looking at both terms and seeing what they both have, and whatever they both have, I can remove it, okay? So first, just to get real basic on you, let's write each of these as prime factors. Prime meaning the numbers that are prime. So what is 10 the same thing as? 2 times what? So 10 is 2 times 5 times a. So 10a is the same thing as 2 times 5 times a, isn't it? Minus 18 is the same as 9 times 2, and 9 is the same as 3 times 3, right? So 18 would be the same as 3 times 3 times 2 times A times B, right? And when I say prime, 3 is prime. Prime meaning only 1 in itself goes into it. Only 3 and 1 go into 3, right? So it's prime. And so now I've broken this down. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 3 times 2 is 18. And now we're looking for matches. It's like go fish, right? You got to have a pair. Okay? So we're looking for pairs. So the 2 has a pair with this 2, doesn't it? And the A has a pair with the A, doesn't it? So that's all I can what? Remove. And so when I take a pair out, only one comes out. So I've got a 2 here and I've got a 2 here. I don't write 2 of them, right? The pair makes one match, doesn't it? So I'm just going to write 2. And then I've got a pair of A's, so I'm going to write A, right? But now that I've taken those out, I'm going to mark them out because I can't use them again, right? And so what goes inside the parentheses is what's left after you remove it. So look at the first term. What's left in the first term once I remove the 2 and put it here and the A and put it here?
5.
So I'm going to put my 5 right there, minus. And in this second term, I removed this 2 and put it right here, didn't I? And I removed this A and I put it right here, didn't I? And so what's left is 9, what? 9 what? B. Now, I'm saying that I factored my original problem, 10a minus 18ab, right? I'm saying I factored this, correct? And when I factored it, this is what I got. That's a complete factorization. When you hear people say factor, they're going to say factor completely. In other words, if you'd have taken the 2 out, but you didn't take the A out, you didn't factor what? Completely. Now, how do you check your answer? Well, this is how. You take what you factored out and redistribute it. And when you redistribute it, you should get what you what? Started with. Okay? So let's redistribute. 2a times 5 is 10a. And 2a times negative 9b is negative 18ab. Is this right here what I started with? It is. So what's the answer? The answer is this. So you'd write your answer is 2a times 5 minus 9b. Now guys, the goal is to not have to write all this. The goal is, look up. The goal is to recognize that 2 goes into 10, right? And to recognize that 2 also goes into 18, and that's the biggest number that goes into both. You're trying to take out the biggest number that goes into both. In that case, it was 2, right? And then you look, and this has an A, and this has an A, and so you know you can take an A out, right? You would like to be able to do this and skip this first step that I did. Some people will call factoring undistributing. So we've been distributing all this time, right? And so a lot of people will say factoring is just undoing your distribution. Okay, so let's look at 10 a to the 4th b squared minus 20 a squared b. So as you look at this, you're looking at the numbers first. What is the biggest number that goes into 10 and into 20. Remember, the number has to go into both. 10, yeah, 10 goes into itself, and 10 also goes into what? So I'm going to factor a 10 out. So I'm going to take 10 out of there, and I'm going to take 10 out of there, and I'm going to write it right here, 10. Okay? Now, here I have an a to the 4th, and right here I have an a to the 2nd. A to the 4th means a times a times a times a, right, 4 of them. A times a times a times a. So there's 4 a's here, aren't there? And how many are here? 2. You can only take out what they both have. This one has 4, but this one only has 2, so I can't take 4 out. How many can I take out? So I'm going to write a squared, right? So look, I took this a squared out, so it's completely gone now, isn't it? All right, so look at the b's. This has 2 b's, right? Because it's b squared. And this has 1 of them, so how many can I take out? 1, so I'll write b here. Now, inside my parentheses goes, after I've taken everything out, what's left? I took the 10 out, okay, in this first term, so there's no more numbers to write except unless I want to write 1. I took 2 a's out of here, so what's left? So we'll write a to the what power? A to the 2nd. See, it's a to the 4th right here, but I took 2 of them out, so there's only 2 left, aren't there? And then there were 2, it's b to the squared means b times b, but I took one of those b's out, so how many's left? Just a b, right? Minus, now, I took 10 away from 20, multiplying, I mean. So I'm saying 10 times what's 20? 2, so what's left here is a 2, okay? And I took away both these a squareds, and I took away this 1b right here, didn't I? And so all that's left here is 2, isn't it? And so this is your answer right here, factored completely. Now, how do you check your answer? Redistribute and see if you get what you started with. So 10a squared b times a squared b is going to be 10. What's a squared times a squared? A to the 4th. And what is b times b? B, not b to the 4th. B squared. And then 2 times all this is just going to be minus 20 a squared b. And then I look at this and I say, is that what I started with? It is, so I factored correctly. Okay? So my answer is what's right here. So I'm going to rewrite it just so it's clear what my answer is. It's 10 a squared b times a squared b minus 2 in parentheses like that right there.